telling you, and like Greenie, I believe you and I trust you because we were friends in the Robo-Human Wars. We've known each other a long time. We've decided to work together at the Nothing Corporation and try and climb the corporate leaderboard together. But I got to tell you, I saw a box in your hand, and I'm confused.
Oh, well, as you should be confused, Captain, because let me tell you, there is a weird space cowboy robot thing over there. Getting some bad vibes. I think, it dawned on me, giving a J.J. Abrams mystery box to some random guy we don't know on some random planet, like, from a structural story plot sense, we don't know what that can do. It could ruin everything.
That's fair.
He doesn't even know that he's a robot, and he also thinks he can invoke cowboy law. He doesn't have arms.
Aren't you the one that doesn't know you're a robot? He knows he's a robot. I mean, you're not a robot. You think you're not a robot. But he knows he's a robot, right? And you know you're not a robot. So you guys share.
I thought you said I was all alien. You said I was all alien.
You're not a robot. Wow, we could not have fought on the same side of the Robo-Human Wars, me being a human, had you been a robot. You were an alien, so you fought on the human side of the Robo-Human War with me. And so you're not an alien.
The Robo-Human Wars, I always wanted to say that it reminded me of a movie we once saw, like back in the day, the Clone Wars. Is that any relation to the Robo-Human Wars?
Well, I mean, who saw the Clone Wars movie? Like, nobody, right? I guess more people probably saw the Clone Wars movie than the Mandalorian and Grogu. But like, it's like Rod of the Hutt, cinematic poison, apparently.
Well, first off, how are you gonna take a B, C level villain and try to make him like an A level? Like, the whole point of Jabba the Hutt is that, what was the Return of the Jedi? Is that what he's in? Is that Luke has somebody to kill? Like, I mean, now you're gonna
excuse me.
I just
Princess
don't.
Leia
I'm sorry, there's
kills
slugs.
Jabba the Hutt,
I know that makes it even like lamer. She chokes a slug. How do you choke a slug? They're slugs.
I don't know. I like her choking that slug. I like.
I like that slug all day.
I don't know, dude. That thing's so. That's a gross puppet. They did like that puppet's like really nasty.
I kind of think about Rick from Rick and Morty drooling when I look at Jabba.
Dude,
Jabba drool was pretty gross.
I was thinking about it the other day when I was thinking about our show and how how bad it is and stuff. And I was like, man, I really don't like season 1 of Rick and Morty. Like I remember us talking about back in the day. I was like, I don't like it. He just burps all the time and it's off-putting to me, right? And like everyone's like, no, you don't get it or whatever. But like you watch later seasons, and I'm right. They course correct, and he stops being like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
so I think that was Justin Roiland, instead of using or the word like or okay. That was like him burping was like a new form to cover up the fact that he didn't know what he was going to say.
Like a verbal tick. Yeah, well,
a verbal tick, but also
stammering on this podcast.
I know. I think it was a transition thing more than anything, because knowing he apparently one of the reasons that he got kicked off the show, I saw on it behind the scenes, because your guy from Community, the director, came on and like started working with him, and he said Dan what's his name?
Dan Harmon.
Dan Harmon. Yeah, so he started directing the show. He's Birdman. The guy that plays Birdman talks about how working with Justin is like such a pain in the ass, because he has to do all of his improv like drunk. So he comes in.
I've seen him behind the scenes before. I was like, this guy needs Jesus. You can't do it like this.
Yeah, he was taking shots of tequila and just getting waxed, and you could just kind of. Dan Harmon makes it very clear that it was very annoying in the most friendliest way possible, I think. And I think he was glad to see him go. That's you could just tell. It's like from a productivity standpoint, it just didn't work well.
Dude, I did see that behind the scenes, and I was like, I saw that behind the scenes, like I guess maybe after he had gotten fired, but before the new guys had come in. And then like people were like, I don't know if these new guys are as good. I was like, dude, compared to like, I'm sure no one cares. Like, that looked like a terrible experience, having to run like an audio booth while a drunk guy's just like yelling into a microphone. Like, having run audio booths before, not what I think would be a good time.
I can't imagine that it was. I'm sure it was great. I mean, it was good enough to get him like going. Unfortunately, I think it leads to like dark places because it's like if you have to perform, getting blackout all the time.
Yeah, man.
It
right?
can't.
Like,
it can't. I actually heard like Justin Roiland, the guy that used to voice him. He ended up getting in a lot of trouble.
well, he got like canceled for being a weirdo,
but he is a weirdo though. Like every one of his things, guys like jokes about
like
poop and balls.
sorry, I don't know why I said weird. Like I think he was harassing people and stuff. Like I think he was being a bad guy, and like it's one of those things where it's like also like man. Like, I don't know. It's this thing where, like, it's this thing that I'm, like, sick of, like, Hollywood bullshit about. Like, excuse me, is this work? Is this your job? Were you paid money to be, like, act professionally? Like, I'm so sick of the lack of professionalism left, right, and center from every single person I deal with every day, everyone I see on TV. No one, like, everyone's acting, everyone's like, well, it's all about the money and doing this and that. But no one acts like, with any sort of professionalism. Everyone acts like they're like, no one acts like they've ever been there before. No one acts like they have any class. No one, do you know what I mean? Like,
I do. I believe that. I believe the term you're looking for is couth. Like it means being refined, cultured, well-mannered.
Like, dude, if you have to get blackout drunk to do your job, you're unable to do your job, right? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. I mean, agreed. Being a blackout drunk at work is just, you're annoying to deal with. Even if that's like you work at a bar, you're annoying to deal with.
But that's like the system problem they fucking have on that show, right? Is like I'm watching a behind the scenes like put out thing by like Warner Brothers, like the company that like makes Rick and Morty. Like, yeah, man, we have this guy at that our employee gets drunk at work and yells at his coworkers, and this is our promotional material, right? And then this guy does some messed up stuff, and they're like, well, we'll get rid of that guy, and that's the only problem. And I'm like, no, clearly you have bigger problems. Another guy could just come and be a drunk asshole if that's like what you think the creative process is. Mike, it's like the Quentin Tarantino nonsense, right? Where, like, obviously Quentin Tarantino isn't a good director because all you hear is about how he has to do, like, same thing with, like, Kubrick and shit when they're like, we had to get real extreme with this. But, like, remember he, like, choked that lady in Inglourious Bastards on camera or whatever? It's like, well, if you can't get the performance you want from your actor without choking them, you're probably a bad director, right? Like, and especially when you're Quentin Tarantino, who writes the scripts, casts the people, and directs the movie. If you're not getting the performances you want, it's on you, brother. Like, you know what I mean? But you got to come in. I don't know. Anyway, fuck. I think Quentin Tarantino. All the shit they do. Like,
I think Quentin Tarantino is probably just like really into feet and BDSM, and he uses like making movies to get to do that to people that he probably wouldn't normally get to do it to because he looks disgusting. But
dude, he is an ugly man. I'm sorry, Quentin Tarantino. Put me in your next
movie,
but
I think there was some celebrity said like some like attractive celebrity I think did a said a bit and like I did cocaine with Quentin Tarantino and some other guy and then I never did it again. It was the worst experience. I was like, could you imagine just talking to Tarantino on cocaine? It would have to be not. I think a lot of people think that would be fun, but like he's such a know-it-all, pompous motherfucker.
Oh my god!
He just like it'd be so.
You could you wouldn't get a word in edgewise, right? First of all, like you wouldn't be talking to Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino, you know what? I bet I know how Quentin Tarantino talks. I bet he's that fucking type of guy who like. All he does is talk in like questions, but the second you pipe up, he's like, no, and then he like keeps going, and then he asks you another question, and you're like, yeah, no, you know the guy I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I think he's that guy, but he's more like he instead of when he transitioned, it's like, well, imagine this, right? Like it's always like anytime you critique, well, imagine this, and it goes to a different way, a different angle. Because I personally believe that whenever Quentin Tarantino hits a wall, he just transitions the scene to something else.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, I mean, I've said it 1,000 times.
Or MacGuffin, right? It goes to the MacGuffin.
No,
sorry.
Well, you know, I think Quentin Tarantino is like a master of like scene direction, right? But like his movies lack the
substance,
the thrust that a movie needs, right? Like it's just a procession of scenes, right? And then people will try and say that they're thematically tied together and stuff, right? Like that's why Pulp Fiction is his favorite movie of people's, is because it's the one where it's the least obvious that it's just a collection of scenes, right? Because it has the trappings of being presented out of time. You don't notice it. Whereas like Inglourious Bastards, it's like, dude, that's just like 6 scenes that happen. And some of the same characters are in them, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
the one thing I'm talking shit about Quentin Tarantino. I actually like his movies, but I do think
he's.
I know, I do, but like I'm like, no, I like that movie. I like that movie too. And it's like, I think the real issue is that he is a weirdo, and he's probably awful to deal with or talk to as a person. But I think the biggest plight everybody could say they have with him right now is that he's just been randomly just saying people are shitty and look bad and suck at acting.
Man. but like, here's the thing, right? Because like, I don't know. It just seems like he's like not cool. Do you know what I mean? And
he's like he's a movie director that you put up with. It's definitely, we all definitely know he's not cool, though.
And I think that's my problem, right? Is I think that like it's been like years and years of people being like, but Quentin Tarantino's cool, and I'm like, you're allowed to like his movies, I guess, but I can't imagine that you'd want to do cocaine with the guy, right?
That's what I mean. Like, he just sounds like a terrible person to hang out with. I mean, he's a know-it-all that won't shut up, and he's super into feet. And the more you watch his movies, the more you see that he's into feet. Like, that's where it's like having a friend that is like borderline inappropriate, and then watching that inappropriate like level up to a point where you're like, I feel bad. Like, I feel like I should say something, right? Like, it's weird. Like, you're getting to this point where it's like, if someone saw him doing this, would you like be like, yo, that's my friend type of vibe, you know? Like,
yeah, man. It's just
like, do you turn on it? Like, and that's where he's going, right? I mean, he's choking women on set.
I think, I think like if you look at like the actors that like he's worked with that like are more of like the like George Clooney's turned on him. Not that George Clooney is any sort of like whatever, but it's like George Clooney's so interested in being a popular actor that like his turn on Quentin is obviously a reaction to like people's sentiments on Quentin Tarantino changing, right?
Okay.
Like,
that's fair.
Does that make any sense? Does that track?
That's why Danny. No offense to Danny Trejo. Like, you compare Danny Trejo's looks to George Clooney, I was going to say, is that why Danny Trejo's still with Quentin?
Well, I mean,
no chance of an A-list outer.
I mean, Danny Trejo probably like owes more to him, right? Like,
that's what I was making a looks versus popularity.
No,
Danny Trejo,
I was
great
I was
actor, Danny Trejo, but like not
Danny
as
Trejo
easy on the eyes as George Clooney.
Is in one of my favorite episodes of Burn Notice.
Of course,
if anyone's, I can't remember the name of the
Anyways.
Whenever we start talking about what I want to talk about, Greenie, this is the worst episode we've ever done, which means you'll get 1,000 million views.
It might be the best. I kind of want to.
Dude, that bit where I just said that thing about Quentin Tarantino and then laughed while you just listed off a bunch of stuff, that's going to do very well. So don't worry about it.
Cool. Hopefully it makes me look not dumb.
Yeah, well, listen, there's nothing to be done about that, right? But, Mike, it's one of those things where, like, here's what I think about all the time. Like when you sometimes you'll be like, I'm worried that I'm looking dumb, and I'm like, you have to remember that
you're editing it. Yeah, I know.
no, that everyone who's judging you is dumber than you, right? Like,
dude, that's
like,
so much. Yeah, that's true.
Here's your chance to talk about that book you're reading in a second to fill some time. But I've been thinking about. I'm always thinking about The Wire, right? And you had mentioned this book and how it had talked about The Wire, and it mentioned the quote, and I thought of a different quote, which is from like McNulty and Bunker hanging out, and Bunk's like, we're going to get caught. And McNulty's like, who's going to catch us? The two best detectives are in this room, right? You think someone in the Baltimore Police Department's going to catch us, right? And it's like that's how I feel when it's like, is this a bad episode? I'm like, yeah, I guess compared to how good of an episode we could make, but like it's not like
that's fair. That's fair. I guess you know, we are.
But like, what's his? But Greenie, what book have you been reading? Also, this whole episode might just be us walking because I got an Instagram from someone who was like, "You should stay in the car. It's better when they're in the truck and instead of walking." So now this is probably a whole episode of them walking. Just fuck that guy.
Well, I know why you're saying that. Your walk is very strutty.
Hey, Greenie, you know what I should do? I should probably learn to more subtly not give a shit.
The art of not giving a fuck. Subtly.
Is that related? Segue, Greenie. Was that not
Segue. So I started reading a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, good. When did you learn to read?
I think it's in my programming.
Got him.
Not sure. Got him. Yeah, no, but the guy had some really good stuff in there. One of the things that I kind of liked from the book in general is he uses the F word in such a way that just keeps saying it, that makes you feel like, yeah, you're like, why do I give so many fucks, right? But Mike, I did send it to you. I know, and I did send it to you, thinking it would be a good read for you, Captain. Sorry. But did you happen to give it a once over?
No, Greenie. I choose not. Like Jerry Seinfeld chooses not to run. I choose not to read.
That's fair.
But no, you know what's, dude. It is the problem of our time of like, technically like all of the stuff exists, right? That you can like, but I'm like, man, when am I going to read this book? Right? Do you know what I mean? It's like, but also there's no books to read, right? I guess. Though,
I mean, I think you have to find something in literature. Either you listen to it, you read it, or you view it, right? Like, I mean, it's all forms of art that speak. But the reason that I'm starting to like books on tape is because I find that in a book you can get your point across in a lot more detail rather than like 30 minutes or 45 an hour, episodes of something or a movie. But what I'm finding in the stuff that I'm reading on philosophy as of late, and the way it like clicks with songs and poetry, I really am starting to understand why people like certain forms of like art and culture that kind of feel like you're progressing towards something in a way that's like beautiful, but also scary. Because it's like the more you unlock, it really is unpeeling the onion. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is why I didn't want to go there. I know that now. Like, I understand why most people wouldn't want to learn this about something, right? And it unlocks a new form of thinking or like a new perspective on something. And at a certain point in life, like in the same way that a child looks at like the first time they get to jump in a puddle, right? Like, you jump in a puddle today, you don't feel that vigor, that excitement. Like, you've learned a lot of things. So like now it's like you have to learn. Never stop learning, everyone, because it's the only thing you got left when it's all said and done.
It really is the only thing they can't take from you, right?
It's the only thing that's free, right?
Like
now, anyways.
They can't take what you already know, right?
Yeah.
They can change I mean, now at a faster pace than ever, they can change what the quote unquote books say happened or whatever, right? But they can't change what you remember, and also they can't change, like I've talked about it before. Like, it's one of the reasons I go back to like older literature, like novels or whatever sometimes, right? Like, because it's like there's just like stuff about the human experience that's in there, right? It's the same thing about like movies or music or anything, right? Like, there's some stuff that like just speaks to like a human experience that other stuff just doesn't, right? And that's the problem in today. Like, we talk about the number of episodes and like how much this and that. Like, the real thing is that like nothing today is speaking to the human experience, right? Because the only stuff being pushed forward to you is like this commercialized stuff that has been compromised, right? Maybe not like morally or ethically compromised, though probably, right? But like just in like someone's like, I think this should happen, and someone came in and were like, yeah, but what if it was blue? And that person just went, okay, right? It's like, well, didn't you feel that it shouldn't have been? You know what I mean? And it's like it can't be stuff just as small as that, right? And people are like, well, you wouldn't notice that. It's like, okay, what do you? I think that people think that their media literacy is lower than it actually is, right? I think people overthink their literacy. Does that make any sense, right?
Yes. To some. Man,
do you have an important message, Mr. Green?
I do. I'm just trying to find it. Oh my gosh.
That's all right. I mean, this could be an edit point.
Yeah, edit point. Man, I'm looking.
Do remember,
for this
we do have our final section of the show, which is the email section.
I know. No. There's this quote on here that like had this whole thing that I was going down, but I can't fucking find it. Warren Buffett, no.
This is great radio.
The most. All right,
so here's the thing.
Never mind, dude. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right, Green. Listen, this is again, Mike. Here's the thing that's weird, right? Is like sometimes our rambly episodes are our best episodes, and sometimes they're not, right? But again, Mike, we're grading on such a harsh curve, right? Joe Rogan doesn't give a shit what he says. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah.
Mike, you should learn this. Mike, there's this book I'd like to recommend to you. Greenie, I'd like to recommend this book I've been reading, The Captain, the literate one of the crew. I've been reading this book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I find that even, Greenie, if you don't love it, you'd like how much it curses, you know, because you're a dirt grub of a man who only likes like swear words and violence, you know?
Swear words and violence.
Did that burn time till you found your thing or no?
No, man.
Okay. So like, hey everyone, Captain here. I'm just sitting here at the iHow. Greenie's he's really ruined this weekend episode, guys, and I'm really sorry about that. I try really hard to bring everyone a good, successful mission and podcast every week, and Greenie, sometimes his heart's just not in it, But the important thing is that he's here and that he will at some point talk again on this audio podcast where it's about two people talking to each other.
Man,
he's coming through, maybe.
I forgot. The quote goes something like this, is just like, and it relates to knowledge in general of like why you should never stop learning. And I forget who the quote is, but it's basically like, the idea of the quote, I can't think of it exactly, but it's like, get me next to any man. Like every man has something to offer, and within that, I am his pupil. I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson that's that quote. But I think what that means and relates to learning, because a lot of people know a lot of things, but it's the different perspective of those things. Like sometimes I find that one subject matter from this person, and then hearing the same subject taken away from how someone learned a thing and then explained it to the world.
Yeah.
So it's like someone takes a law. Let's say like the law of gravity. Like we do know
Like cowboy law?
Cowboy law. So in general, so if cowboy law is invoked from Mr. Green's point of view versus cowboy law invoked by the marshal's point of view.
Right.
My point being that it hits
cowboy law is.
Yes, but not knowing anything about cowboy law, I could take away two different perspectives of it, just knowing in the context it was used.
Cowboy law.
Right.
Cool.
So now that's what I find interesting about just learning about the same thing through different viewpoints. And I think that's what a lot of philosophy is, was my point. But anyway, yeah, Mr. Green here. I do have a great pitch for a business, Mike, that I want in the economy.
All right, well, Greenie, as we're
Should I save it for later? No,
it's fine. Now that we're here at the back of the Moonshine, why don't you put that box back in there? We'll deal with why it's still here next week. What's your idea for a business?
Yeah.
Because listen, guess what, guys? We could have had a lot more fun this week if you guys had given us more money on patreon.com/economy of nothing. Or we could have had an easier week if people had sent me more emails at economyofnothing@gmail.com. But whatever you do, just enjoy yourselves. It's fine. Don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's whatever. Like, subscribe, share. Share. Honestly, love the
share.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Can I make a real plea, Greenie?
You're why I do this.
Can some people go to the the podcast on Apple and give us some positive reviews? Because I don't know what happened, but like people gave us some real. We have more negative reviews than we have positive reviews right now on the Apple podcast. Which again, I don't care, man. Actually, take that back. Everyone, down fucking vote us. Fuck it. We're never going to be the number one comedy podcast, but I bet we could be the number 0, like the worst one, right? Like
which that.
And if people go sort the other way, that puts us up top. It makes it easy to find. Please, everyone, go to your podcast service of choice and leave us a 1-star. Leave us a 1-star, but you have to write a review if you leave us a 1-star, or we're not friends anymore.
Yep. Oh,
you got to write something.
What
Double
is
engagement.
This? It doesn't matter. We live in the distant future where all press is good press. It doesn't matter.
Well, Greenie,
Iran war, is it still happening? Is it
Greenie,
on? Is it off? It happens. Oh, we signed it. We didn't sign it. What's happening?
Greenie, listen, we're not in
Sorry, I blacked out. Oh, my
listen,
God.
Greenie, I don't even... I know what an Iran is because I'm from Earth in like the 20s, whatever. But
I forgot your backstory was in the Roaring 20s.
Yeah, you're. Well, I was originally. Yeah, well, not anymore, right? Like I think now.
I know. Keep going. Anyway, it involves time travel. We're not going down that route.
But Greenie, you're from 56,009, so it's like that's the same year to you, right? Well, if I'm like, oh, that guy was from 300 AD, and you're like, oh, actually, he was from like 400 AD. You'd be like, yeah, like I give a fuck about the difference, right? Like
Yeah.
But Greenie. But anyway, Greenie, fine. If people aren't going to join patreon.com or become sponsors of the Moonshine, which I think we should add to the Patreon, I think we should just be like, for $1,000, we'll put your logo on the truck and put the truck in every episode or some shit. But Greenie, you have a business plan, and while we're leaning on the truck here, because that was a long walk, why don't you just tell me whatever it is you got to say?
Listen, Captain. I have the best idea, and I think it's really gonna. This is gonna get us a lot of credits. Maybe we can live the Nothing Corp. However, I'm pretty sure, in order to even be able to open a job this far in the distant future, where Nothing Corp owns everything, like we're gonna have to do a lot of good before this happens. But when it does happen, we're gonna open this business.
Steal from a charity. You gotta do some good first, and then you can steal from a charity. Do you even have to? You can just start your own charity. But we don't have any money, Greenie, to start a charity with.
That's why we're doing the job, because we got to get money to build this. It's our future goal of like, this is our Margaritaville, okay?
Okay. So Margaritaville's a metaphor? Even
it's
in the show of the Economy of Nothing, Margaritaville is a metaphor for the concept of us having an idea to make money, which isn't putting Margaritaville has not contacted us. I'm surprised Chevy hasn't given us at least a cease and desist. Anyway.
So my idea is this: instead of are you familiar with a Topgolf, Captain?
I am.
Okay. So imagine a Topgolf, but instead of like a double-decker Topgolf, it's just a room with like decks like that. Like it's just a big warehouse with everyone has like
Just an empty warehouse with floors.
just empty warehouse with like with screens and dividers.
And it's missing a wall. It doesn't have a front wall.
Yeah, but like they're kind of like
structurally
bullpens.
unsound. Okay.
They're bullpens. You know, each one's a bullpen where they can where there's a big, like a giant big buck hunter, and like the guns are lined up, and there's spots to like sit and chill and drink
Thinking
and
of
stuff.
A shooting range, Greenie.
Yeah, it's a virtual shooting range, but it's also a bar. And instead of like going there to play golf,
guns and alcohol, what could go wrong?
Yeah, but no, it's
Bring
virtual.
some tobacco in there, and you got a party.
No, dude, it's just big buck hunter on screens, and then bar. You know, you can have margaritas
a bar
and drink,
game.
and you hang with your buddies, and then but it's a betting thing too. So like, you can get to bet you either with the people in your thing if you want. You can play for free. You can bet, or you can bet against the whole like house, right? So like when and the house takes cuts of that, but also serves the bar.
I know how the house works.
I'm just saying it's like it's a gambling thing, but also pretty fair, and everybody would get to shoot and have a good time. I think a lot of people would go to that, honestly. And the name of it is Peak Mail. Peak Mail.
Okay. So this is for bros and dudes, like no chicks, bro, or like where are the chicks? What are we saying? Are we happy there's no chicks, or are we like, where are the chicks? Why
I just feel like chicks would come, even though I think the name Peak Male is funny, and I think what it would do is it would cause. Yes.
Okay.
Hear me out. Why?
Comment below.
Hear me out. Why it works as a business model name.
Okay.
First off, people would want to go to Peak Mail, right? Because our commercials would be Peak Mail.
Some guys would, I guess.
Yeah.
It sounds like
it'd be a lot of gay. It'd be a lot of gay.
It sounds like a gay.
I think a lot of gay dudes would go. Actually, that's a terrible name. You're right.
I mean,
you know, in my head, it was funny as a joke.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it, Greenie. I'm not. No, that's fine. It's fine.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny as a concept because I think somebody would walk in there thinking it's gonna be like a manly sport or like throwing axes or something, but it ends up like a bunch of dudes playing video game Big Butt Hunter, drinking like margaritas. I just think that's funny. Yeah. And I think it would attract people like, what is this? You know, like because if you call it like, oh, video game bar, nobody's gonna come. But if there's intrigue, and then the women are like, why are all these dudes going to Peak Mail? What is it? They want to go, you know?
I mean, maybe. Greenie, I think that having dreams.
I think in general it would attract, if initially I didn't think about attracting a bunch of gay dudes to the bar. But you know what? Gay dudes like to play Big Buck Hunter. Yeah, it might be very successful.
Like the house doesn't give a fuck whose money it is.
And if you follow the Republican Party Grinders account, a lot of them are gay. A lot of them.
Greenie, yeah. Hey, you know,
who doesn't like Big Buck Hunter?
Nikes too. I assume everyone. I probably even. You know what? I'm sure PETA doesn't, because PETA would be like, even hurting digital animals is mean. But
God, who gives a
my problem with Big Buck Hunter is I just think here's where you're gonna run into those guns. You got to keep the guns calibrated in a way, right? You're gonna get a bunch of people like,
you were so behind,
well, man.
Bro. No, you were so behind on your Big Buck Hunter. It's not even funny. I've played legit new ones. The guns, the scopes are smooth as butter, bro. It is nice.
It's like killing a real defenseless animal. There's a Ron White bit we could do. I was thinking about it just the other day. He's talking about going hunting, and he's like I don't want to hunt. It's not that I think it's more moral to eat food that's been bludgeoned to death by someone else. It's just really early in the morning, and I don't want to go.
I'm purposely not laughing at this joke. to make
I
my point
was
made.
another. Oh,
I don't even know what the joke was. I'm just mad. I liked
You're just
my
mad.
business.
Mike, if you want to own.
No,
Mike,
I'm Mr. Green.
Greenie. I was just excited about the idea of a Margaritaville. I'm going to rip this Margaritaville sign off the back of our moonshine. They won't pay us. Fuck them. You know what I mean? Do you have a logo for, what are we calling this? So you want us, Mr. Green, just to be clear, you want us two men to drive this truck that says peak males on the back of it. Just drive to the galaxy. Two good friends. But it's fine. Instagram's gonna love this. Okay.
I mean, fuck it,
That's fine. Two peak. So it just says peak males in my mind.
Yeah, but in my mind, it said like that.
In my mind, it
Manergy,
looks like that
Manergy.
No, in my mind, it's like that 1990s, when everything had two triangles kind of behind it, like an orange and a pink triangle. It's triangle peak male.
Yeah, and in my head, the reason that it's funny is because you can make a joke about it. I think a hilarious bit is someone walking into a urinal, pulling their pants all the way down while there are other people at urinals using the urinals.
Okay.
They pull their pants all the way down to their ankles. And then someone being like, peak male. It's just I think that's a funny bit somewhere. I don't know why.
So
because you would just never see that.
No. So at this bar, you want men to pull their pants all the way down.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I think it would be
fine. Greenie. This is not a judgment. I'm just trying to get a full picture of exactly what kind of establishment you're
it would be a funny bit to constantly It would be a funny bit for Mr. Green to where
I think this is a funny bit. I'm a fan of this.
Go pee with his pants all the way down, and then you hear in the back peak male, because man, that's how you go viral,
Is peeing with your pants all the way down? Is that peak male? Are people doing this now?
No, I'm saying it is. I created the joke because it's obviously not peak male. It's ridiculous. But the funny thing is, I think if you put the tagline peak male,
this is an ironic bar. Okay.
No, it's just a bit that comes from this is how the bit started to make the bar, and I just think it's funny that that would be. Peak male is all about just doing things for fun rather than for cred. I don't know.
No, I like the idea. I like all the concepts. It's sometimes something's better than the sum of its parts. Well, this is the sum, together all your parts are bad. But the idea is and I don't even mean that in a mean way. It's more I don't understand. I don't understand. There's no buck hunter and peak male. There's no
for all the people
thread.
That we all. So what happened was my son. We made a joke about it at the pool because I said the idea, and but I don't know what happened, and he went and he pulled his pants down in the near the front of the pool and tried to pee in it. And we'd already made the joke peak male, then somebody else was like peak male, and it's funny because it's your toddler doing it.
Yeah.
I was just oh my god, what a hilarious bit, and everybody thought it was hilarious, and I'm sure my delivery was spot on then. But the point being is that would be hilarious if you were at a football game or something or a bar and there's people using a urinal and you just walk up and you put your pants all the way down to take a pee, and I just think it's funny. And then our friend had a story of a guy in finance who did that every time he went to there. It's is it a flex or is he just a weirdo? And they're who knows? But peak male, because you got to be pretty fucking confident to put your pants all the way fucking down at a common urinal, or you got to be pretty fucking stupid. I don't know. Who would do that? Or right?
Greenie, I'm I'm at a loss for words. Yes, I guess. Yes, that is peak male. That's the most. Here,
Peak male is, I guess, not giving a fuck at all. Is that the joke? It could be the running joke.
I guess here's where there's like not a joke. I guess.
All right, we could just end it. I'm done.
No, it's fine. No, I want to get to the bottom of this. Or we can just end it. But also then we lose all the... If we don't solve this problem, then we lose the runtime of the rest of this. But if we land this fucking plane, it's all
fucking land it then, dude. Stop poo-pooing it and figure out a way to land it.
All right, well, I'm trying to... This is a behind-the-scenes podcast. I'm trying to explain to people what I'm trying to do before I do it. Anyway, right? So the problem with this joke is that, like, it needs to be, like... It's not a thing that people actually do. So it's like too far afield from like you like peak male would be like in like a world where we're actually making fun of a guy. A guy cracks a beer, chugs it, smashes it on his forehead. He's like peak male, right? Like that's like what we're like making fun of, right? Or a guy who lifts up some really big weight and drops it and goes peak male. And then we're like trying to think of a thing that's like
my thing is like I'm taking it to the nth degree. It's like it's so ridiculous that it's funny.
Yeah, like they all need to be sit-down toilets. Peak male sitting down when you pee. That's peak male. Yeah. That's actually not giving a fuck. That's being a real fucking man. Sometimes I'm like, what a long day. I'm just gonna sit for a goddamn second. And someone's like, well, you sit down when you pee? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not in like 6th grade, so I don't give a fuck what you think, right? You like, but pulling your pants down and putting them in a pee-soaked like public restroom is just weird.
All right, well, you landed it. Whatever.
Hey, thank you everyone for we got excited this week. I am so happy that we blew up. This is the second time we've blown up on a week when like I couldn't do anything, so that's fun. But yeah, I'm gonna get to everyone at some point and talk to you. But join the Patreon. I have a lot of questions for people. We didn't bring any of them up. This is the show. What can we do about it? Nothing. I don't know. We're working on it. Like I don't know.
I'll be on vacation all next week, so it'll have to be like Sunday or something.
Yeah,
but,
so we'll have to figure it out because then I'm going to go on like next year. What we need to do is just like schedule every episode and be like, so we can be like, here's 15, then we take a break and I can spend 2 weeks on this one. And you know what I mean? That's what we need to do. End of the year, we're scheduling 2027 economy, nothing like ba 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 ba. You know what I mean? Or season 3 whenever we do it. But
thanks everyone for watching and listening. Appreciate all you.
It's crazy that anyone would be like, these two guys have anything of interest to say, right?
Yeah. Either
certainly
people really want to be distracted, or we're great.
We're the only ones doing it. I know we keep
everything is just like your options right now. Podcasts of the internet are. Do you want to talk about video games that nobody plays anymore? Do you want to talk about financial podcast that's blown into your face every day and everybody's saying the same thing?
It's one of those things also, like, I don't know what to tell everyone. Like, I swear to God, for the last hour, we've been, like, trying to be entertaining, right? We haven't been walking through any steps. We've been, like, sitting here being like, what would be interesting? Not like, okay, well, yeah, you played Zelda. Okay, well, you could talk about Zelda for 10 minutes. We'll ask you 2 questions. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you that, like, we're trying to make this the best podcast we can. But maybe we just walked all week because that one guy said my walking animation looks bad. And they do. But go bother someone else. Everyone else's animations look bad too. You know,
I love that you're like you're a little butthurt about it. I promise you, he's gonna be working on making it better. Maybe not this go round, but he's gonna be like, you know, F that guy. I mean, whoever honestly, created that comment, you just made this guy. He's gonna create the best goddamn walking animation you ever seen.
Like the walking is and I've known it for a while. The walking is in like
it is. It's your shoulders. It's too much shoulder movement. it's like prophecy. Like you're a fucking peacock, like a turkey walking with a big swinging giblet.
Yeah. Well, everything else, right? I capture from like 3D and I put it in 2D. But That's so many frames of animation, right? For
You don't
someone
have
to
to
walk.
explain it. I don't care. It looks good to me. I'm fine with it.
Well, you just told me you didn't like it. You just said,
No.
I understand. Podcast over. Fuck this. I quit.
Cancel. Rips away his mic.
Everyone,
It's like, listen, I know you're going to get better at it over time. I'm not.
I know.
It's not bad. I mean, I can't animate that. You know.
Should we mention to everyone that this is a behind-the-scenes podcast? This is not even close to the bottom. That's fine. I don't know, Mike. We did a podcast. We'll get 45 minutes out of it. Thank you, everyone, for joining the Patreon. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I didn't do the emails. Should we do the email? We have to do the emails real quick.
Let's do emails. Do the emails. Do the emails. Do the emails.
Fuck. Okay. This section's going to be called "Be Careful What You Ask For," because I asked for emails, and on the second, we got 2 emails. Hey, everyone, economynothing@gmail.com. Send us an email. First email comes in from Tree.
What
do you want?
Yes.
Subject line: Y'all rock. Found on Instagram, then followed. Love the takes. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if I was someone who didn't believe in conspiracies, I'd say you guys algorithmed me at the right time. Cheers, Tree. So that's great.
Tree, thanks, man.
Should we keep asking for emails?
Oh, yeah, I like that. That was great. Thank you.
Email number 2. This is from Eat the Rich.
Okay. I get a vibe from the subject.
Subject line: Unabomber.
Oh no.
Hello all. I wanted this is where the title of the episode comes. I didn't want to ruin it for you.
Okay, go. Can you just cut that whole email out of this?
We're not. We said no.
I don't want to talk about that. Why did you bring that email up? God damn.
Mostly for your reaction at the very beginning, and then I'm just gonna be like, I'll probably just cut to this part where we're not talking about it. But I say, you kind of have to get the emotion out.
I know.
I'm like Quentin Tarantino trying to choke you. I'm trying to get the reaction I want out of you for the cut. You know.
That's true.
Yeah. Let me see your feet. All right, everyone. Catch you later.
That is the greatest exit ever. I hope that's in the short.
That'll be there. economyofnothing@gmail.com, economyofnothing.com, patreon.com/theeconomyofnothing. We're everywhere, and if we're not somewhere, be like, hey, why don't you have this account? I don't know. I'll post something there. What do I give a shit? All right, everyone. Have a good week. I mean, listen, you can't control how good your week's going to be. Have the best time you can with everybody. I think it's rude to tell people to have a good day. It's like, well, they can't control. Anyway, I'm cutting this anyway.